I'm offended, Tim.
If everybody's ready to get started, go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we do have a quorum, so we'll move ahead to approval of minutes. Laura emailed those out to everybody. Everybody had an opportunity to read through those. And if so, would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from October 31st meeting.
All right, motion to approve minutes.
Okay.
Second.
All right, is there any further discussion on the minutes from October 31st? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, good. All right, we're gonna move right into the meat of the meeting today, which is Tim Adams is giving us a presentation on how we're gonna make this work.
All right. Thank you, guys. Like I said, we talked about it last week. I thought we had some good questions that arose last week on how. Of course, we presented a model of a 1411, days and nights model, and some of the areas that, and I showed on a map how we would cover that. And then some of the questions that arose is, okay, well, what about your deployment plan? What do you do if you don't have 14 trucks? How are you going to cover the area? Hopefully this right here will answer some of the questions. What I've done is software, MapPoint software from Microsoft. What you're seeing now is a scale of the county. You will notice, if you can, hopefully you can see, I can't blow it up too much more, but the red circles that have numbers in them are your fire departments. The square boxes with a P, it represents posting locations. And of course, the square boxes with the H's represents hospitals or urgent care facilities within the county. And there's a few more, but those are some of the very important ones. The reason why I place this up there is for this model to work, not only when we, what we talked about when we first developed the committee is that we had several concerns that we wanted to address. And one was a deployment plan that would also take into consideration employee comforts, such as instead of, being on a street corner with no lights or whatever, that once deployed, that they could have some areas for some comfort, or to utilize a microwave to warm their food up, or to go use the bathroom facilities, or even just to get out of the truck for 5 minutes and sit down on the couch and relax. And so that was one of our concerns, and one of the things that was that I understood for the committee that we would do when we built the model. Also with the model, we all committed and agreed upon, we wanted one response zone. I think there was a model out there before with 5 zones on it. I think this committee, that was one of the biggest things, is we wanted one zone, one response time. And so we built the model to do that also. We built it to the 90th percentile on calls. Unfortunately, we're never going to be 100% on anything. We just can't do that. That's you just can't have that. So we built a model on the 90th percentile at a travel time and a response time of 14:29. 90-second shoot time, wheels rolling time, as you might say, and a 12:59 or 13-minute travel time throughout the county. So what we did back at EMS, that was a task for us to do that. So we went back and developed a plan that we considered was appropriate and could work. What you'll see here, like I said, is this is the opening of the county. This is the fire departments. The Red Cross are our stations. Unfortunately, the hospital at Monroe, of course, that's where the Red Cross is there, because that's our main station there. And that. You got to deal with me now on this stuff, so. There's your calls. This is the calls. What we did is we went back to make sure that it's data driven. That was one of the biggest issues also, is we had to make sure this is data driven. This is not a shot in the dark. This is not a guess. This is what we've ran. These are emergency calls. This originated from January 1st of this year, 2014, and to October 31st of this year. These are emergency calls, or as we call them, code 3, priority 3 calls. They total, what we're looking at here is 3,636 calls that we ran. Okay, this is what we ran so far. So now you see, that's how we start building the system. We talk about 90th percentile. But one of the biggest things what we want to do is we want to provide as much coverage to the entire county to meet that response time. So what we did, and excuse me, I'm going to sit down now so I can feel like I can do some of this stuff. My hands are shaking too, so I'm nervous.
Tim, for the folks at home, the 3,636 calls was over what time period?
January.
January 1, 2014 to October 31st, 2000.
Okay.
Come on. I need somebody up here running this thing. Okay. What you're looking at there is our 14 truck deployment. If we're fully staffed, this is start of the day, that's what you see. I made it, I made it a little bit easier. I put each zone where a truck's at in a different color. So you can count the colors. Should come up to around 14, or I think 12, about 12, because we got 2 overlapping.
When you say fully staffed, you mean fully staffed,
Maximum.
14 trucks, not fully staffed as you are today?
Maximum staffing, what we're talking about, this is the future model. We're not talking about anything today. Okay? So let's not get confused. I think we got confused last week on what we're doing today. Everything the proposal I'm showing you today is, this is a future model. This is what we were tasked to do.
This is the 15 months.
Correct.
This is 15 months.
Yes. When we grow the system there. We have, as you say, as you can see in the different areas. Okay, go here. There's our coverage. Same amount of calls over that year. Unfortunately, as you can see, you may see 1 or 2 that's out of that, but that's when you're talking about the financial impact and what we can do at a maximum level. This is what we can cover. We can cover the over. That's somewhere around 96, 97% of the calls. Okay. You do see some areas, and I'm sorry because I may need to show you guys. The tan areas, the beige areas that you see, the beige are areas that are uncovered, that we cannot get there in 13 minutes. Okay? The tan or the beige areas. Any questions there?
Did by any chance you run a comparable model to see how long it would take to get to those areas?
Yes, I can. I can break it out. And I don't have that available now, but what I can do is I did a little bit of work on when you get down into, I'm going to carry you down to about 5. When we got 5 trucks online, I'll show you what we cover. Okay?
And Tim, just for people at home, John and I were just talking, the colors outside the county those aren't your response areas, and you're not deploying, you're not sending units to respond to those,
No.
right?
That's just based on the road.
That's based on the road network.
Yes, unfortunately, yes,
I just want to be clear for the people at home.
yes.
You're not proposing that we extend our response time into Mecklenburg.
No.
And into South Carolina and out there.
No, sir. What this combines is, this is the road network, and at the location that the trucks are stationed at this time, that shows you where they can go in 13 minutes. And if it's outside the county, outside the state, they can still get there.
But I think you made a point last time that you adjusted some of your posting points
Yes, sir.
to adjust a little for that, but sometimes you just can't show
Well,
that
it
you
just,
get there
I guess,
fast.
all based on the road network.
Yeah.
Like 74, you can get all the way to Polkton from Marshall in 13 minutes.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be going there. We hope.
Like I said, and I have the locations of the deployment areas and the posting areas, if you guys want me to run through those. If not, we can move on. Anybody have any questions? Okay. We talked about available units, and we talked about maximum staffing is 14 and 11. We talked about 11 and 9 being our minimum staffing. That means that we're going to strive to the 90th percentile to have 11 trucks online, at least 11 online every day, 24/7, or during the daytime hours. This map shows the 11 trucks deployed. Okay? Doesn't change much, does it? It really does.
And the 11 trucks is at your current,
That's what we're currently
today,
maximum.
maximum. So if you're fully staffed, as you sit today,
Maximum staffing is 11. Okay.
And usually you've got two, either in repair or maintenance or something.
Well, they got reserves to cover that.
We have reserved backup trucks, but if we were fully staffed today, we would be at a maximum level of 11 trucks
On the road.
that's
on the road.
Basically, going from a maximum of 11 to a minimum of 11.
Correct.
In 15 months.
Yeah.
So I don't want to belabor the point, but this matters in the financial analysis, as we've been kind of working on it. So 11 trucks is what we currently pay for, under the current budget you have in place right now, right?
We pay for a maximum of 11 transport trucks. All right, if you want to break it down to that, you pay for a maximum of 11 transport trucks, 2 QRVs, and of course the supervisory staff of 8. And then of course you go into the administrative part of it also. So if that's what you currently pay for.
Right, so that's what I just want to be clear is that if you were to do fully staffed to 11, that shouldn't cost any more than what is currently budgeted for EMS. Is that a fair way to say it?
Well, I think the difference is this is a minimum and maximum. So the new model is 14 with a minimum of 11.
Yes.
This model is a maximum of 11.
Okay.
And a minimum. We really don't have a minimum.
Okay, so, but if you went to full staff under the current financial structure, without any increase in funding, you could go to full staff and hit that max of 11, in theory, right?
Yes.
Well, the QRVs are staffed at a higher rate.
Well, our QRVs are staffed usually around 40 to 48% of the time, because we backfill off the QRVs to make sure our transport trucks are
But the
staffed.
QRVs aren't part of the 11. The QRVs would actually give you 13 response
Right.
units, but only 11 transfers.
Yes. And what we're talking about in the proposal, I know we try not to get confused here, but what are we talking about in the proposal are transport trucks. We're not talking about QRVs, administrative staff, supervisory staff. We're talking about the model is transport trucks. Okay, transport trucks.
But we're also replacing those QRVs with transport trucks.
Correct.
In the new model.
In the new
Correct.
model.
We're offering a higher level of
Yeah,
service.
I agree. That's the point I'm trying to make.
I'm just trying to establish the base
Yeah.
of where you sit today in optimal conditions, fully staffed at your peak, under the current funding amount, the current funding level from the county. You get staffed to 11 units at a peak, plus
Correct.
2 QRVs.
Correct.
Okay,
Currently,
current.
yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't want to belabor the point. I just want to be real clear as we go through this, how that works.
That's our coverage with 11 minimum staffing, or as you say today, if we had our maximum staffing deployed in those areas, that's what.
Or if you had 3 trucks on the call.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or if you had 3 trucks on the floor. Yeah.
Question. You've got the 13 minutes posted around. You don't have one up, 13 minutes up in New Salem. Is that really?
Same
Same thing.
All of it's 13. Everything you see on here is 13-minute drive time.
With the exception of the beige colors in the corner.
Yeah, in the exception of the beige colors. That represents, we're not able to respond in that area from those locations in 12 minutes and 59 seconds.
Tim, let me ask a question. And so, do you have a way to take out everything that's inside of the 13-minute response time and just look at what's, because it's hard to see the yellow areas. Are you able to do that? Or what percent would you say of the calls are in the yellow areas on this 11 truck?
On the beige areas.
On the beige areas.
Beige areas, right now, I can magnify it and you can count them.
But
I'm saying about 40 calls out of the year, or not even 40, probably 25 calls.
So you're
out
probably
of the year.
97%?
Yes, correct.
98%?
Correct. I'm sorry, when I build the
No, that's fine. That's
tool,
fine.
I can't.
I was looking more for a number anyways.
And I can make this available to anybody that, you know, if you want to see it, or.
Tim, I think, just for clarity, that you're at 99%, not
Yeah.
97%.
Yeah, about 99.
If you're saying 25 calls, it's less
I-
than 1%.
I apologize, I can't, I'm trying to run this, get this plan in my head right now, so. You guys hit me out.
99%.
Yeah, I was looking at it, like I said, we're, 3,636 calls is what you're seeing there.
And I'm putting the cart before the horse, I know it, and I'm trying to play catch up. So kind of going back, I reckon to Jeff's point, this is with the current funding level, the 11 trucks is what we have today.
This is maximum.
Max, okay. And in turn, again, I'm putting it before the horse, but with that level of funding, because we were talking about the 15-month rollout to ramping it up, how long would it take to take that plan and implement it as it stood on the ground today?
This 11,
Yes.
July the 1st.
So you could implement that plan by July 1st.
The goal was July the 1st.
The goal, I'm asking for 50, what I always say is you give me 15 months.
Right.
And we should, because it takes a while to hire.
Sure.
Purchase trucks. The biggest issue is hiring and training.
Well, and I'm thinking in terms of the money that's allocated now with the number of people in the force that you have now, implementing this model, you think, because we're going to be ramping up at the 15 months to more trucks, and I get that, but in terms of this model, you think implementation would be by July?
That's what our performance goal is. July 1, 2015, 11, 90% of the time during the day, and 9 at night, 90% of the time.
And you've actually got hiring underway now.
That is correct.
So the hiring, the hiring and training of the talented paramedics, that's what's going to stretch us out to the July timeframe. And I'd like to think, since you've got it underway, that's going to be we don't have to wait till July 1. We're going to see the gradual improvement to July 1. Is that a fair statement,
I
Mike?
mean, we're committed, the sooner we can get it up, we're gonna push as hard as we can.
Well-
It's just not the hiring, it's the training too. You
Yeah.
have to make sure not only are they hired, but they're competent.
You don't want to send me out there to pick you up.
What we do now, we continue as we migrate to fully 12-hour trucks. We're continuing to do that. As we hire, as we get them up and oriented, make sure our medical director is assured that they're competent enough to go out to the field and provide the care. We in turn, what we call flipping. We flip a truck from 24 hours to 12. We're down to about, I think we're going with one truck in December, around the 1st of December, and then we'll go to the next one. It'll be about January the 18th. And so we should be, that's like what we're projecting. Then everything will be fully 12 hours, and then we can start building onto this system.
So you'll have all 12 hours by the 18th of January.
Keeping our fingers crossed.
Right,
No fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That didn't count.
right now, this morning or yesterday, how many trucks do you have staffed and on call?
Right now, I can't tell you because I didn't look at the lineup this morning. I'm sorry. I'll look at that. You can look at it right now.
But kind of the commissioner's point, I think, and this is probably where he was headed, is under your current funding to get to the July 1 expectation, it shouldn't be more than what we have. You just have to get fully under what you have to get up to that speed.
And I understand what you guys are talking about. You're talking about financial.
Right. I'm talking in the fiscal year by July 1 because we have a budget process coming in which we'll also go through the negotiation of how we ramp up to those additional units and the cost of those. But from today to July 1, financially speaking, if you currently are able to go to that peak level, it shouldn't cost us any more than getting to that peak level.
What I'm trying to do today is show you the model on how we will deploy up to 14. I mean, from 14 units down, and to respond to the areas.
And Tim, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the only difference, Jeff, would be, and to Commissioner Hell's point, we want to get there as soon as we can, so we want to overstaff. In the current budget, there's not overstaffing.
Okay.
So there's some overstaffing and additional PRN positions, so that would be the difference.
But that overstaffing is to move beyond the July 1.
I mean, if we could do it, I mean, to Commissioner Helm's point, Tim's saying 15 months, but if we can get the people hired and we can start overstaffing so we can secure 90% of the time, April 1st, that's what we're going to shoot for.
Yeah. And I think, just as a point of clarification, overstaffing means that we're going to staff each shift to 105%, so that if they have people calling in sick or on vacation, they can put those trucks on the road. I mean, that's in the staffing model, that's what you need to do to maintain your minimum.
That's business 101.
Yeah, so that's the only difference, is that currently they don't overstaff.
Folks, just to give you a heads up, right now we have 11 trucks staffed fully, including the 2 QRVs.
So you're at peak staff today.
It's maximum.
So you got 11 plus 2 or 9 plus 2?
11
plus 2.
And I think,
Good job, Tim. You've achieved it.
I think.
He wants to start the clock. But that's your goal anyway, isn't it?
Correct.
Currently?
Yeah.
And
Correct.
you know.
Yeah, and the issue is just overstaffing. They don't have, if somebody calls in sick, you can't run an ambulance with one person. I mean, it's just, and if they can't get their PRNs or part-time people to come in to cover that spot that's empty, then you have to run that truck as a QRV and it don't go as a transport truck.
Right.
And so that's the overstaffing issue, and that would be the only change.
Clarification, that's 11 ambulances plus the 2 QRVs. No, 9 ambulances and 2 QRVs. I'll get it right in a minute.
That's what you're saying, Greg.
Is it
I
nine?
need to,
So we're down to, we're at 9 instead of.
So right now you have 9 transport trucks and 2 QRVs.
Correct. Any other questions?
Sorry, I didn't mean to get you too far.
Keep going, Tim, you're doing good.
Thank you, sir.
Get more relaxed as you go.
I know it. You can ask anybody. I'm still, when I do the, match these little buttons, it's always like this. It's a staffing level at 9. We talked about 9, that could be during the day, and also our, this is our minimum staffing, as you might say, at night, okay?
So this is what you're trying to maintain right now, is
Right.
9
At
transports.
night, and that's the nighttime basically.
Minimum.
Let me call these numbers out, somebody else count for them, because I ain't doing good. 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 59, 61, 62, and 63.
That's 11.
Okay. Plus 42 and 43 are staff.
So you have
So you're
11.
11 and 2.
There you go.
11 transports.
Now we all.
I told you I needed some help.
Now, Butcher, you good?
I did it that way so it would be clear.
I'm gonna run out of paper, I'll leave it.
I didn't want to have to take my shoes off.
Okay, this is the deployment level at 9, and understand also, this would be, set, and this would be the opportune posting locations for trucks at the level of 9. You have to understand, if all of a sudden Lanes Creek or Marshville or one of those at one time have 3 calls in those areas at the same time, we're going to be moving and mobilizing trucks to go back into those areas, but it may take a few more minutes. Instead of, if Marshville goes out on a call and then all of a sudden, New Salem will come down and go halfway to a posting location to cover those areas or to wing it. It's always active, that would be the opportunity.
Let me ask a question, because I think you just described what we're trying to accomplish.
Right.
These remote areas, if we have somebody get hurt out in the Unionville area, you're gonna have, that one may be transporting, but you'll move others to
It's always-
keep that area covered, even though its assigned vehicle is out.
Yeah, well, we won't really and truly with the new model, we won't have, as you might say, assigned vehicles. You would be assigned a unit, and that unit may start in Waxhaw at the beginning of their 12-hour shift. That unit may end up in Unionville, and then they would come back to a point to get off. Do you see what I'm saying? Because as the units receive calls and they're moved, and with AVL dispatching also, those units may end up. And that's what we can do. That's the positive things about 12-hour staffing.
But geographically, you're keeping the geography covered.
Those,
Correct.
those blue
Correct.
squares.
Correct.
Those blue squares will be where they'll move to.
Yeah.
This model is also built because we always had some, I think we had a lot of issues with the board. They're saying, well, you're just going to staff the corridor, 74 corridor. This model is built to move them out instead of it. Okay?
Let me ask you a question.
It keeps them out.
And I just don't know, well, I don't know what I don't know, but is this like a computer-driven thing? Is Larry, I don't know if Larry's the one that sends it out and says, all right, you need to move here, or do the trucks have something inside their vehicle that's telling them where to move, or how is this?
This will be the new model will be a relationship between Larry and myself, and we will construct this for the crews and also for the telecommunications.
So it's a human thing as opposed to letting the computer.
So it's a manual process.
Well, no, it's management doing their job, is what it is.
It'll be based off of what predetermined sites, and then the moves are made
Right here.
based off of what units are available.
So you would contact number, I think 61 was the number, you would say 61 moved to post here, and they would move over to that post?
Yeah.
Okay.
The new model.
What do you do now?
We do a comparable thing now. We call it a matrix, a move-up matrix. It's not as robust as what we're looking at doing with overlays to assist with the telecommunicators. What we do is it's a sliding Excel scale that says when you get to this many trucks, they go here, here, and it'll tell you it'll say post. You can say post in post 4 on the deployment 9 would be Highway 84 and Wesley Chapel Stouts Road. You see, that's post 4 on the deployment 9 model. We have to go in and number and identify the post in numbers, and that way the crews will have the availability to look and go, okay, we need to go to post 59 or 40, and they know exactly where to go. Yeah, and of course, the supervision, our supervisors, if we have calls, and we do this now, our supervisors, we may have a truck available at the hospital or within 5 minutes of becoming available. You have another call, instead of having a move up from one of the outlying areas, that supervisor can go, hold on before you move this truck, I've got a truck available at the hospital, they're back 10-8. It's always a moving target.
And let's talk about one thing that I wanted to make as a point of reference is the majority of our transports go to CMC Union, correct? So generally speaking, if we're transporting somebody from Unionville, they're moving into the city of Monroe.
Right.
So our turnaround times at the hospital can be sped up, and we have a 30-minute time. But, based on the call volume at that particular time, we can get those trucks out of the hospital quicker and back into their areas. So it's not like the majority of the time our trucks are in Sharp and they're completely unavailable.
As you say, a lot of times, Commissioner Ham's on, with the supervision and all, providing getting on trucks, whatever. What we do now, our FTOs or our supervision, administrative staff, when we become down, when our system becomes weight and heavy, as in we got a lot of calls going on, they're over at the ER, they're helping mop floors, disinfect the trucks, get them back in service, and we're all working as a team to move them back. And that's when, a lot of times when our system becomes, is loaded, as in a lot of calls, everybody, we step up. We step up and we get those.
And the point that I wanted to make is that the majority of the time, they're right there across from EMS base, so they can be made available at a quicker rate if the system is busy.
Correct.
During the peak times.
No. Right, Johnny, we're getting a little bit calmer on that. It's 9 trucks, it's your call volume. This is call volume, like I said, and this is just, it took us, Stephen, with our department, it took him about 4 days to compile these few numbers, or just numbers on that. Unfortunately, I don't have them broken out in day and night. This is total calls, or total emergency calls. Excuse me.
What's the coverage percentage on that? Are you still running over 90% there?
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna ask probably an unpopular question. That's 9 trucks,
Yes, sir.
and we've got that coverage. Why are we looking at 14?
Well, why you're looking at 14 is you want the availability. This is not considering any type of transfers.
Okay.
That's the opportune time if we have 9 trucks available at one time. We have the ability.
Because some of those, if you got 12 online, 3 of them may be at the hospital.
Right.
Or,
We're looking at, if you're looking at 9 now, we got 14, we got 5 of them on calls.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You got 5 on calls now.
Right. So this is only if they're at their post, waiting to go, not sitting in the
Right,
hospital,
right.
not with a.
If we were at if we're at the new model and we had 14 trucks, maximum staffing, 5 of those trucks would be on calls at this time.
And I think what we're trying to show here is as the system gets busy, that's why it keeps going down the number of trucks.
You're still
So,
covering.
Yeah, is how he's gonna meet the response plan that he's laying out with the system being busy.
Makes
Yes,
sense.
Is what
as
it's
it
trying to
becomes
show.
busier. This is what I'm trying to show right now. Any questions on that? And like I said, I just broke it down to a few of them.
Yeah, but you have a way of saying what the response time is in your beige areas?
What I can do is I can go back and run the numbers. I can go out and based off a base and and this software would mark it out and show me, it would give me a recommendation of how long it would take to travel in those areas. It would.
That would be good to know, I think.
Butch, one of the challenges with those areas up in the, especially in the upper north corner and that bottom right-hand corner, some of those places you literally have to go out of the county and come back in to access those areas.
Crooked road.
Yeah, very much so.
This is at a maximum staffing or 14 transport trucks. We're at 7 now. This is midpoint. This is mid-level staffing. We've got 7 trucks on calls. We'll have 7 trucks available. If we were at minimum staffing at 11, we'd have 4 trucks on calls. But at maximum, we would have 7. We're looking at maximum. 7 trucks on calls. This is where the 7 available trucks would be located.
Like minimum, you talking day and night?
Minimum staffing is, the new model would be 11 and 9.
No, the new model will be 14 and 11. That's maximum.
Maximum. Minimum. He's talking
Minimum,
minimum.
I'm sorry.
Questions?
I
Okay.
missed the memo, I just heard it.
This is at, like I said, we're at halfway between now. We're down to 7 units. My recommendation when we get to 7 units is that with the new model is that routine interfacility transfers will be cut at this point. And I'll show you why. Now, I'm still throwing on the table, we have to provide, if we have stroke, CVAs, STEMI emergency.
That's emergency
traumas, we're gonna
That's
have to
code
take
3.
those, but at the level of 7 interfacilities as a routine transfers and stuff like that, we're gonna try to put them in a queue, and we'll get to them when we can.
Tim, let me ask one other quick question. And this isn't really, I mean, with all the different deployments and models and stuff, what about like if in a mass casualty instance? You're just at the whim of whatever you got at that
Yes,
point
sir.
in time?
We may-
Are there relationships with surrounding counties that we can pull in folks?
Very much so. One of the issues with and while the committee was formed, and what you guys are looking at is increasing trucks to a new model, is that we're continuously at that maximum of 11. If we have 11 trucks online, that we're having to call for mutual aid assistance. We call for First Help out of Chesterfield County, Anson, Cabarrus, Stanley, Mecklenburg, they help us out quite a lot. And we do the same thing on that side. So we have a good relationship on each side.
I mean, the fire departments work well together, and I figured it would be the same.
Same.
with the EMS, so.
Same.
So for clarification, Tim, when you're talking this 7, you've got the other ones working, but that's available units.
That's available units.
Available units, and actually, one of the things that we looked at is because in today's environment, we get down to 1.
Yeah.
So we're putting processes in place to control so we don't get down that low. And that's one of the reasons for the additional trucks, to maintain that higher staffing level in worst case scenario.
This is why I recommend, when we're coming under load, we're at 7 units. As you can see, the call volume there, we're becoming under load, that we really need to have those 7 units available in the county for some time. That's why I recommend cutting it at the non-emergency interfacility transports office there.
I was trying to take a guess at about what percentage you're at there, and it's gonna be almost impossible. But
You still look pretty high.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
85.
Yeah, so I mean, 50%.
To get back, I think a lot of times there's a lot of questions going, well, I know you guys can reach your 90th percentile. You can reach your 90th percentile if you just cover the 74 corridor. And you can see right here, the majority is that. But as you can see, our model is built out that we're covering the whole county. And that's in 13-minute drive time.
That's an important point.
Okay?
And
One zone.
Right, and to that point, Tim, since you brought up that point, the discussion was the time with the one zone,
Mhm.
it's important to bring the whole facet to it. One zone, if the purpose of the one zone is to give everybody equal time,
Mhm.
then have two zones with everybody having equal time, or three zones with everybody having equal time to address that issue. Because the reality of it is, out Fish Road, New Salem, it's gonna take a while. If you're down to half staff, it's gonna take a while to get out there. And there's no way you can meet that without, there's no way to meet that, so there's no sense in giving the perception that that could be met.
Right now, at a 7 staffing, the posted would not be at Station 4. The post would be at Highway 200 and 218. If you're talking about up St. Timothy, that one little call up there, you're still going to be at, it's going to be 15 minutes. So you're going from 13 to 15 minutes.
I just want clarification on the discussion with the zones.
Yeah. That's going to be if you're at full staff, because there's no easy way to get there. Okay. And as you can see, that's in not saying anything about the citizens or anything like that, but understand that they're out in the boondocks,
Yeah.
as you might say. But and we try to do the best we can there.
But on the same token, Tim, you got the mutual aid relationship
Correct.
with Addison County, so that hypothetically, we could pull Burnsville in and still get under that time frame.
Right.
You know, and that's not taken into account in these numbers either.
No, they're not. But as of what I'm trying to say is that we're at 90%. I'm comfortable we're still at 90% coverage, or 90th percentile with 7 trucks.
Even out in the county.
There it is. I'm showing, and that's data. That's not a guess.
But all
There
of
it
your
is.
10% is in the county.
Not necessarily.
According to this, it looks like all the 10% is in the county.
Not necessarily, because he just told you he was posting down at 200 and 218.
Right, but I'm just saying, if you look at the yellow areas, they are all in the county.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So all the ones that are missed are in the county.
And unfortunately, in those areas, you just can't get to.
It's been said more than once, and I live out in the middle of nowhere, and not as far, I live halfway to the middle of nowhere, and with that comes a cost, and you're farther away from services, and that's
Yeah, but
an
if
understanding that we
your
have.
son gets hurt,
Oh, you want
you're not going to argue that point.
But keep them focused on what we're talking about. This is again where we're really loading the system as you're
Correct.
increasing your staffing levels from the current max 11 and 9 to a min 11 and 9.
Right.
The chances of us getting down to this level have been greatly reduced.
Correct.
So we need to make sure we're keeping the focus
Correct.
there.
And if we remember looking at the availability or the unit utilization chart that
Correct.
Tim put up, this is a very, very small percentage of the time.
Correct.
A very, very small percentage of the time. That's right.
Like I said, we were tasked to bring you back what it would look like under load, and that's.
Well, that's what I said. I was just making the statement to bring
Yes.
focus back on why we were going through this process.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not necessarily. Just what we do.
Now, when we talk about in a level 5, we're stressed. If we're at level 5 staffing, we're at maximum staffing at 14 on the new model. We've got 9 trucks out. 9 trucks out on the road on calls at one time. The percentage of that is right around, I would say that's going to happen about 15% of the time.
But that's
So
why
we're not going to see this a lot. If you see this, you're going to have a unit with 9 trucks unless you have a mass casualty incident. And you can refer this back to if we had a mass casualty incident and we utilized 9 trucks and we had 5 to go, this is what we would do. We would put those out in the areas that would cover the most projected call volume, okay? on that.
That's why we're managing the turnaround time in the hospital.
Correct.
We're managing when you can do IFTs to prevent this scenario.
Correct. You always have at nine units at one time, you always have units clearing, coming right back into the county. So we're even working with CCOM now, is that we're gonna expand the AVL contact where that unit we can mark that unit and we can show it available even at 485 in those areas there. So we can have that understanding and bring them back in service.
You know, we're looking at an employment model. The thing that needs to be noted also is the comm center, our AVL is partially functional. We're talking about fixing that where it's fully functional. It's going to benefit the fire departments, EMS, the sheriff's departments, and it's going to allow, if there's 9 vehicles busy, as they get freed up, it's going to allow him to move them back into that particular area. So it's going to greatly enhance the service to the county.
Correct.
I mean,
At a deployment 5 level, you would have a unit at Station 9, which is in Wingate. You have a unit at Station 18, which is in Waxhaw. You'd have a post at 200 in Rocky River, which is at Rough Edge. You'd have a post at Lawyers Road, Indian Trail, Fairview, that would cover the pink area over there. And also you'd have a post at Wesley Chapel Stouts in 84. That's where you go into your, as we would talk about, instead of a fire department, you're going into your posting models. And this is what you're talking about, the migration and the moving of trucks. When your system becomes loaded, you have to move them to these different areas. And that's what gives you.
And then when the first unit comes available at the hospital, they'll go to 205 and at Fairfield.
Yeah. What way the system will be built, and let me do this for you. Again. The way the system will be built is, my vision of it is that when the unit becomes available, along with the communications and the supervisors, is that they'll have a template, some overlay, and they can move those units back out into those areas to bring back that service as quickly as possible. And instead of moving them on the corridor, we're moving them out.
Adding a link back to the chain.
Adding a link back to the chain. As you see there at 5, we're probably below we're somewhere around the 90 percentile on small. I think that's what Jeff and all. But that's with 9 trucks available. 9 trucks busy. Any questions there? Okay. I'm going to show you this last one.
3.
Yeah. This is what you currently do not have. You do not have this current day and time. This current day and time, you do not have that. If this was, we would have 11 trucks busy. We would have no trucks in the county. With the new model, you would have 3 additional trucks. And you can continue to cover. You see it's really busy there, but we still we're covering around 70%, 80% of the calls still with those additional trucks. That's why we need 14. This is seldom ever will this ever happen. With 11 trucks out, when we come down to status 0, we're usually at status 0, and you can help me out, Sharon, Gary, is that we're usually about 5, maybe even 10 minutes if we're that much before we're back up. We're coming back up with trucks in line. We're never hardly out at status 0. And you'll have a flurry of calls, and the system will be maxed out at this date, the current, we're talking about current. And then, and it'll do it within like a 30-minute time span, and then all of a sudden the system will come back up. We're building in for that flux of maximum calls. Any questions?
If there are no questions, can you show the bar graph I was talking about a while ago with the utilization or the availability and all that good stuff? You know what I'm talking about?
Let me see if I can find it.
The time of day,
Yeah, you know, how often
time of day versus availability.
strikes. And that'll give you an idea of the percentage of times we would be at 7 or 5 or 3 or none.
Give me a few minutes.
Okay. I know I surprised you with that. That's what we're at right now, the actual demand, so.
That's
Drop-
system demand.
Yeah, drop on down to the 14 and what we're talking about in the future. So you can see by that is that not very often will we be at 5 or, you know, 7.
But that's emergency calls, and that is not including the other workload.
No, sir.
I mean, it looks like you've got too much now,
Right.
but that's not considered any of
Right.
the two and
That's not considered
One.
that's not considered any interfacility transfers or non-emergency calls. This is all emergency. This is what we've been tasked to do, emergency calls.
But 7, at 7 trucks, we would still be.
Yes.
So
We're starting to load
That's why
at
the
7.
cutoff is at 7. I wanted to make that point and explain how it came to that decision. So, does anybody else have anything for Tim, questions?
Wait, real quick on this, so I can understand what I'm looking at. This is the number of trucks, and with the line across the bottom, is that just the time of day, or what is the line?
That would, blocks at the top are the time of day. The up is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and the down is 8 p.m.
So I'm looking at a week.
Yes.
Okay.
in this last fiscal year.
Any questions? Like I said, it's no guesswork, it's all data driven.
Appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Let's,
If you see Stephen Dean,
thank you.
thank you, please. It's in the car.
Let's take about a 5-minute recess, and then, that way you can kind of get your thoughts together for questions. And we'll come back and get questions and whatnot, and take care of yourself, so, okay?